How's it going, guys? It's Kachurin bringing you the very first weekly review for the Casual Cup Season 1. In these videos, I'm going to be going over the matches played, talking about what was brought, and highlighting some of the key points of each match. I'll also have some quick league standings at the end, so look forward to that. Let's waste no time getting right into the first battle of the season. Benjie and the Mischievous Murkrows versus Ryan DCB and the Vigrid Vespiquens. Ben bringing Heatran, Zeraora, Ferrothorn, Snorlax, Gyarados and Primeape, and Ryan bringing Blastoise Mega, Kartana, Chandelure, Palisand, Vikavolt, and Beware. Benjie taking this one 2-0. Ben kinda had the momentum for most of the game, but it was still close. Ryan made a few poor choices, I feel, namely in the way he lost his Kartana, leaving it out against Gyarados to throw a Toxic, and how he played his Chandelure against Ben's Heatran, basically just throwing it away for no good reason. With those two gone, especially the Kartana, who was Ryan's best revenge killer in answer to Heatran, Ben has a pretty easy time keeping the game in his favor and slowly choking Ryan out. I'm hoping to see a little more from Ryan next week, and I think he definitely could have used his tools a bit better for this one. But moving on to the next battle, UU and the Muslim Mewtwo's versus Fencer and the Honorable Houndooms. UU bringing Mega Medicham, Tornadus Incarnate, Clefable, Magnezone, Torterra, and Amistar, and Fencer bringing Suicune, Crocodile, Stakataka, Gigalith, Drampa, and Electrode. UU picking up an astounding 5-0 victory. There isn't an awful lot to talk about here. Fencer's one knockout was a sick read, and his nicknames were on point. However, he didn't really put out a lot of offensive pressure for most of the game. UU got to pretty much do whatever he wanted, laying tons of hazards and throwing out moves all game, and Fencer's team just didn't have a lot to fire back with. Overall, it was a pretty clean game from the Muslim Mewtwo's, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these two teams mix it up with next week. The third battle this week is the Philadelphia Flareons, coached by Jaden, versus the Windsor Wurmples and Turkey Zilla. Oh boy, if you thought the last one was one-sided, take a look-see over here. Jaden brought Mega Sceptile, Necrozma, Landorus Incarnate, Hippowdon, Blastoise, and Togedemaru, and Turkey Zilla brought Mega Sharpedo, Scizor, Nihilego, Latios, Magmortar, and Sarina. There really isn't a lot for me to talk about here. No, really, I'm looking and there's not much. This battle was Turkey's first outing in competitive Mons, and as one-sided as it looks, it really wasn't that bad from him. Unfortunately, Jaden made a timely switch into Magmortar's Thunderbolt that was aimed at Blastoise to get a Lightning Rod boost, and proceeded to have Sceptile absolutely annihilate Turkey's entire team. Tragic. I'm looking forward to see what Turkey bounces back with next week, and also if Jaden can grab himself another convincing victory. But moving on to the next one, Crow's Cosmic Crobats versus Pantros and Incog and their Williamsburg Whimsicots. Crow bringing Alolan Ninetales, Lucario, Azumarill, Pyukumuku, Mandibuzz, Manectric, and the Whimsicots bringing Jirachi, Victini, Whimsicott, Walrein, Minior, and Dusknoir. This one was a surprise. Crow actually got the upset this week to kick off his season, much to my surprise, after I ranked his team worst in the power rankings. This was still a very close game though, but Crow played it pretty smart. He held his Azu in the back until the end, and allowed other mons to go down and take out threats that could beat it. Lucario set up and took down Jirachi, a good half of his team got Toxic down and whittled Whimsicott, and with a couple extra KOs ahead of time, Azu cleaned up the last two. Pretty smart play from Crow's side, though the Whimsicots weren't slouching either. The opening Brick Break to smash Aurora Veil and Oko Ninetales was certainly something, but unfortunately not enough. I do expect them to bounce back though, and I want to see if Crow can keep figuring things out with his interesting team. Next up we have Cobb and Ethan's Crabby Club versus Kaiser Cricket and the Garrigmok Garchomps. Cobb bringing Mega Gallade, Tapu Koko, Azelf, Cobalion, Blaziken, and Clawitzer, and Kaiser bringing Garchomp Mega, Tapu Bulu, Entei, Alakazam, and Polion and Spiritomb. Cobb took this one in a very close 1-0, but I really don't think it should have been so close. Cobb made two pretty pivotal mistakes against Alakazam, letting his Gallade go down because he thought Shadow Sneak would KO, and letting his Blaziken, who had double screens from Coco, a Grassy Seed boost, and a couple Swords Dances, pretty sick sets, go down, left him kind of up the creek without a sweeper. He did manage to pull up the W, but I hope the kind of sloppy play doesn't continue for him. Credit where credit is due, however. Cricket played a good game, and I won't detract from that. He used his Zam well to eliminate big threats, but unfortunately couldn't do quite enough to take this one. Moving on, we have Siderius and the staggering Staraptors versus Sentient Coffee and the Venezuelan Victorians. The Staraptors bringing Mimikyu, Rotom Wash, Dragonite, Ambipom, Bisharp, and Tangrowth, and the Vaporeons bringing Mega Charizard X, Tentacruel, Passimian, Cradily, Gastrodon, and Delmise. Now this is why they're called the staggering Staraptors. This game wasn't even close. Ambipom opened up with some powerful tail slaps to take 2 quick KOs, and then Mimikyu set up a Swords Dance and swept the rest in just 13 turns. To say it was one-sided is an understatement. The Victorians were plain and simple just not ready for this one, and Siderius wasn't pulling any punches for them. I'm hoping Sentient Coffee can show us some of what he learned playing in the test season next week, but that's all I've really got to say about this one. Oh boy. The next battle was my own Oshawa Oshawats versus Sword of Strife and the Alolan Ninetales. I brought Mega Scizor, Dugtrio, Slurpuff, Araquanid, Meltank, and Rotom Ghost, and the Alolan Ninetales brought Mega Gardevoir, Kyurem Black, Rotom Mow, Garchomp, Talonflame, and Metagross. Speaking of not being ready, I was not ready for the multiple Source Dance mons Sword of Strife had for this battle. As a result, I was playing from behind the whole time, having to sack off mons desperately to get rid of his Garchomp and Talonflame. But in the same vein, Sword of Strife wasn't ready for my Scizor, unfortunately not packing Hidden Power Fire on his Rotom or Kyurem, which allowed Scizor's bullet punches to just barely squeak out the victory. This one was a nail biter, and I'm personally excited to see what Sword of Strife comes up with for changes for next week. And the final battle for week 1 was Unni's Charming Chandelures up against Mickle's London Lycanroc. Unni bringing Mega Aerodactyl, Keldeo, Kyurem, Aromatisse, Xatu, and Bronzong, and Mickle bringing Mega Manectric, Landorus Therian, Lycanroc Dusk, Toxapex, Gardevoir, and Virizion. This one is pretty much the story I gave in the Power Rankings video. Mickle's team has great offense, but it lacks that really good defensive core when he's playing on the back foot. Unni was able to keep up the pressure once he got in the driver's seat, although I will say Mickle's Toxapex, aptly named SSN Aiden, made sure it was a long time before Unni had control. But once the Chandelures had that opening, Kyurem set up a substitute and went to town on Mickle's team, busting it wide open and leaving Mickle in a very difficult situation. Mickle definitely didn't just roll over, but he did lose his Mega Main in a way I feel he shouldn't have, thinking he might KO Aromatisse, and eventually bit the dust in this battle. And with all that said, here are the divisional rankings after week 1. Since it's only week 1, these standings don't really indicate anything playoff-wise, but for those who don't know, playoffs are top 8. The top 4 teams from each division will make the cut, and the bottom 4 from either side are eliminated after our 12-week season concludes. Do you think the ones on top after week 1 will remain? We'll see. That's it for me for the week 1 review. This has been Kachurin, and I'll see you guys in the next one.